Hello, and welcome to Monarch High School's Counseling Department's presentation on junior year, what to expect in the upcoming months, and things to start planning for throughout senior year. So, my name is Autumn Kopians. I'm one of the counselors here. I work with students and families with the last names L through RN. And we want to start this presentation with a quote by Frank Sachs, just that we ask all students and parents and families to just kind of keep at the forefront of their brains as we go through all this information and kind of keep it into consideration. So I'll read it aloud to you. If a college is a match rather than a prize, then there is plenty of time to find the right fit. All too often, students and parents are romanced by a name rather than looking for the best matches. In the end, the best fit should be what the student determines, and there should be several fits, not just one. If we do our jobs as counselors and parents, we trust students to make and assume ownership of their decisions. It then becomes our job to support their decisions and feel good about their accomplishments. So today we're going to talk about a few things, the timeline between spring of 2020 all the way through graduation, spring of 2023, making sure that students and families feel prepared with their senior schedules, their summer activities, and then go into the details about the college search process, things that are available for students and families to look into, and also knowing what those virtual and in-person college visits might look like either in the summer on campus or here at school. This is just a reminder. Hopefully by junior year you kind of know what your graduation requirements are for BVSD. We talk about this every year during our course selection process. This year your course selection will begin on March 1st and go through the 11th. And so when we do this, you will want to keep these in mind of you want to make sure that these are happening, but also that if going to college is something in your future, that you also think about things called the HERE requirements. And they're the higher education admissions recommendations. This is what most public four-year universities and colleges use as their standard for admissions minimums. So the biggest difference that we want to bring attention to is around math and science. So at BVSD, you only need 2 years of math to graduate and 2 years of science, physical science and a life science. But for most colleges, they're looking for at least 3 years of science and typically want to see 3, if more than likely 4 years of math. Oftentimes, students will have to take some sort of math in their college requirements for college graduation, and so the more that they are attuned to math and practice it all the way through their end of their senior year, it won't be so foreign when they go back to it and have to take a math class in college. So just drawing attention there to the biggest differences. Making sure that you're exploring all of your options for your post-secondary career. So outside of high school, if you want to go straight into a four-year college or university, what their requirements are, and just knowing, do you have what you need to be able to get into those places. Junior and community colleges are also an option. They often have less requirements to get in. Front Range and Red Rocks often just require a high school diploma, and then from there you can kind of choose your pathway and the classes that you take, certificate programs that they offer, or getting an associate's, or some colleges or community colleges will link up directly with a 4-year to just get you to transfer in after those two years at the community college. Trade and technical schools are options for those that are interested in a particular trade. They are sometimes offered at community colleges as well, but it is a good opportunity to be able to get right into the field of work and earn money often while you're in school. Military is a great option for those who are needing some ability to help pay for college, bidding in your time right out of high school, and then being able to either build a career from that or using that money to be able to move yourself along in whatever career field you choose after your service. You can choose to take a gap year, which is usually about 1 or 2 years in between high school and your college of choice. And this can have, very specific programs that are designated for these gap years, or you may choose to just work and save money and prepare for the next step. And others of you might just choose that you want to go straight into work and start earning money and starting into a field that you already know that you have some connections with and don't feel that college is quite the right step at this moment. If you plan to play any sports with the university or junior college, just know that there are different requirements for NCAA than are the HERE requirements or even BVSD. You'll have to register with www.eligibilitycenter.org. It is the NCAA clearinghouse. They'll want to see transcripts, and this helps to be able to get them sent and seen by coaches. And if you have specific questions about this, we can walk through it. Your counselor can kind of show you what this all looks like. But the breakdown is obviously Division I, Division II, and Division III all have different requirements. And really those core courses is what they're looking at more likely than not. Okay, so to jump right into timeline of things. So this year, spring of 2020, you want to make sure that when we do course selection here coming up, that you are choosing strong courses for your senior year. Your transcript will reflect your grades up until the end of junior year. So your last chance to be able to kind of show off your GPA through junior year, but they can also see the classes that you're enrolled in for senior year. And so they want to make sure that you're continuing to challenge yourself, have that academic rigor, that you have a well-rounded schedule, so it's not too easy, but also not too difficult. You want to kind of start to specialize in the areas in which you're strongest. And then thinking about, possible changes to any of your requests when we meet to be able to get that and make sure you have the strongest schedule that you possibly can before August when we come back. Also this spring, starting in February, we'll start opening up our calendars for junior one-on-one meetings. We'd love to meet with you individually. Your parents can join in virtually due to COVID. They're not, have some restrictions on who's allowed in the building, but we can kind of walk through what you're thinking, what you might need a little bit of extra help with, things to keep in mind that we want to change to your schedule. Do you have what you need for graduation? Where are you planning on looking at going to school? Do you have an idea of what your major might be and how we can kind of solidify some of those plans? So you can go to the Mohai Counseling page, which is mohaicounseling.com, and on the left-hand side is all of the counselors' names. You click on our names and it goes straight to our calendars. So there should be an option specifically for a junior meeting. And that we ask in Naviance that you fill out a survey for us so we kind of feel a little bit prepared for that meeting. And that's your pre-junior interview survey. So when you go to About Me, there should be a surveys from my school, and the junior meeting will be in there. So just keep that in mind. If you could do that for us, that'd be super helpful. The Gap Year Fair is coming up on February 1st from 6 to 8:30. It's at New Vista. And so through this PowerPoint, there's a click with a link to the flyer for this that you can find. In the spring, you can start doing research on different colleges and majors that you're interested in, start planning some visits now or even over the summer. And then on April 13th, you're going to take the SAT here at school, and more information will be sent out on that. We do, as Colorado, we have the option for you to take the SAT essay. Just know that that is no longer a requirement for most four-year universities. It often isn't even an option to be able to take it on a general Saturday. So if you would like to sign up for the essay, it is graded separately from the regular other sections of the SAT. You can do that. There's a link on this presentation that you can click into it, but it will not be mandatory. You're going to be registering for additional college entrance exams if it's necessary. So some universities have specific things that they want from you. After you take the SAT in April, we want to encourage you to do that because there's also some test optional schools that are out there. But there's a graduation requirement that the state has put onto us effective this year that can be met by meeting a certain score for the math and English portion of the SAT. So we encourage you guys to take the SAT. You can also take the ACT if you so choose. That won't be an option for free at school, but there will be opportunities throughout the year for you to look that up on actstudent.org. Also, the AP exams are going to be May 2nd through the 13th, and there's a link there if you're curious of what day and time specifically, if you're in an AP class, when that will be. SAT subject tests used to be a thing. They are no longer offered from College Board, so you should never see that in an admissions requirement. They used to be for certain selective schools, but just know they're no longer available.
So you have one more summer to make your resume shine. Colleges like to see how you spend your extracurricular time. On your college applications, you'll have to fill out what they call an activities list, and this is kind of like a resume. So summer of 2022, I recommend that you spend your time wisely and round out that resume that you've already started. So some of the ways you can do this is look for leadership opportunities, whether that's starting a community service, or volunteering or doing an internship. Getting a job is a great way to build skills and show that you're productive. Even just participating in your athletics is a good way to spend your time. You also may want to enhance your resume by boosting that test score. So maybe your SAT wasn't as high as you'd like it to be. Summer's a great time to study, maybe get a tutor, maybe use Khan Academy to bring that test score up. It's another great time to also see when the next test is going to be offered and set that as your goal, being ready for that test. The essay is another big part of the college application process. The Common App offers six questions each year that you can pick from to be your prompt for your essay question on the Common Application. So I highly recommend that you go and check out those questions, start to think about what you might want to say on your college essay now, so you're not scrambling right when you have to do all your application work. The essay is a great opportunity for you to kind of show the school your three-dimensional self. So if you think about applications, they get a lot of objective information. They get your test scores, they get your GPA, they get the classes that you've taken. Your essay can highlight some different things. It can show your values and your strengths and what motivates you. So use your essay as an opportunity to help the college really get to know you as a three-dimensional person. Obviously, in summer, you usually have a little extra time, so this is a great time to continue that college research. Narrow down your list of colleges that you think you might want to apply to, and if you have the opportunity, visiting the colleges that you think you're thinking about going to. A college visit can be really powerful in feeling like if you can fit in on that college, right? If you can't visit, then I highly recommend doing their virtual tours, asking questions, connecting with their representatives. And then also getting your list going in Naviance. So there's a list called Colleges I'm Thinking About. This would be a great place to get organized and add all your colleges, because ultimately we need all your colleges in Naviance anyway. We'll talk more about that. So I just mentioned college visits. So if COVID allows for it and you're comfortable with it, I highly recommend the in-person visits. And there's a lot of great tips out there for how to make these college visits most beneficial for you. So this first link is a web page from College Board that is College Visits 101. Has lots of great tips. And then I have a few listed here. So basically when you go to a college, I highly recommend taking the organized tour. It's usually given by a student who's currently in school, and you can ask them questions and then get involved as possible. Like if you're interested in being in the science department, talk to the science professors. If you're going to play a sport at the school, talk to your coach. See if you can connect with some students in your areas of interest. If you can spend the night in the dorm, that's awesome. And then overall, just get a sense of what's going on at the school in day-to-day life. So that might be scanning the bulletin boards, reading the publications, eating in the cafeteria, going to the bookstore. All of these things are a great way to kind of get to know the campus and see if you can visualize yourself being there. So September rolls around, your focus is really going to be on those college applications. In September, the counseling department offers a senior application night presentation. If we're able, we'll definitely do that in person. If not, you will get another presentation virtually. And this, I can't emphasize enough how important this presentation is. There are a lot of little steps and processes that you're going to need to follow in order to make sure that we are able to send your transcripts and your letters of rec and anything else you might need colleges to receive from us. So there's a lot of details and logistics. So whether you show up in person or watch the virtual presentation, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. So what you're going to be doing in the fall is firm up your list of colleges and put them in Naviance in colleges that I'm applying to. If your colleges aren't in Naviance, we cannot send your transcripts, we cannot send your letters of rec. So this is really important. And then you really need to get organized. I highly recommended that you make a spreadsheet or a list of application requirements. Every school has slightly different requirements. So some schools do require a letter of rec from a teacher. Some require letters of rec from a teacher and a counselor. Some will not take any letters of rec. So it's really important that you get organized and you read through the details of all those admission requirements and also know your deadlines. Deadlines are really important. If your colleges request them, you should be requesting letters of recommendations from teachers a month in advance. So make sure that you're giving your teachers plenty of time to write you a good letter of rec. But we also don't want you just asking for letters of rec just because you think you might need them. Teachers get asked for hundreds of letters of rec, so we don't want them to write ones that may not be used. So just make sure you know what you need and ask for the specifics that you need. Request transcripts. So most schools want an initial transcript, and you will need to fill out a form and hand that to the counseling department in order to get your transcripts sent to your schools. College fairs can be another great way to get to know schools. In the past, we've had the out-of-state college fair here at Monarch High School in person. There's hundreds of colleges that come from all over the country to talk to you. This last year it was virtual, and I'm not sure, haven't heard of how it's going to be this next year, but that usually happens sometime in October. And there's also an in-state college fair around the same time, and often it's been offered at a local high school. So we'll see if that becomes virtual or in person, but that gives you an opportunity to talk to college rep, ask questions, and also demonstrate interest in their school by putting your name down on their list. Also, we have college reps coming here to Monarch High School to visit with you. So those visits are listed in Naviance. We have times and dates that they're coming, and then if you sign up for them through Naviance, we send you a pass and you can come down and talk to them. So just another great way to connect with the representatives, the admissions reps, and get to know the schools, ask questions, and show that you're interested in their school. So in the fall, October through December, we offer quite a bit of help individually, but also we have whole days set aside, usually they're on Fridays in the Post-Grad Center, just to help you with applications. So look for those dates. We usually put everything out in communications through Naviance. You're going to be wanting to fill out the FAFSA, which opens on October 1st. FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And FAFSA application is what schools use to decide your financial aid package. And the financial aid package includes anything from scholarships to grants to work study on campus to loans. So everybody should be filling out the FAFSA, and I recommend doing it as soon as you can after October 1st. And then, of course, you want to complete and submit your applications. You want to treat an application like you would any important document. You want to make sure it's very detail-oriented, make sure you're answering all the questions thoroughly and completely. And then if you get stuck, please come down and talk to your counselor. We deal with applications every single year, so maybe this is the first time you've ever seen a college application, whereas we see these college applications every year. So please come down and ask for help. Another great thing to do is attend our financial aid night. Historically, we've offered this during our out-of-state college fair here in the building. So we'll see if we're able to do that this year, pending COVID restrictions. Often we have representatives from local colleges, from their financial aid departments to come and help you fill out that application. And then it's really important during this time that you research and plan and have discussions about how your family plans to finance college and what's realistic for you and your family. All the college websites have a net price calculator on them. What this is you put in your family's income and they give you an approximation of what they think your financial aid package might look like. It's just an approximation. It doesn't account for other things that are accounted for in the FAFSA, but it's a great place to start. So another tool I wanted you to be aware of is our Monarch High School Counseling Department website. If you go to the Monarch High School website and click on counseling, this is where you end up. And at the very top, there's some tabs. One of them is a post-secondary tab. If you click on this tab, there is all sorts of information, all relating to preparing for life after high school. So that could be tips for applying to college, that could be paying for college, that could be testing like ACT, SAT information. So I highly recommend letters of rec, how do you get those at school, requesting transcripts. All of that information is on our website. So please go check it out, see what you can see, and let us know if you have questions. The other thing that's on our website that you should know about is the school code. It's called the CEEB code, which stands for the College Entrance Exam Board code. And this is the code that identifies Monarch High School to the colleges. So you're going to find that they ask for this code a lot on college applications. And so this is where you're going to find that code. All right, spring semester, January. So you've submitted your applications to a lot of the schools, maybe finalizing some last applications, and some of the schools are going to request your mid-year transcript. So the initial applications you send out often only get your initial transcript, which includes grades and classes through your junior year. So some schools do want to see the first semester of your senior year grades, and that's what the mid-year transcript includes. So you'll, just like the beginning of the year, you'll have to fill out a form and request those mid-year transcripts for the schools that need them. Not every school requests the mid-year transcripts. February and March, you've been accepted to school, senioritis sets in, and it's really easy to feel like you can blow off school. But what I want you to know is that colleges that you've been admitted to do receive your second semester grades, and they always reserve the right to rescind your admissions offer. So if you blow off your classes or you drop all your challenging classes that you told them that you were going to take, they still can take back their offer for you to attend their school. So you have to push through and keep doing your schoolwork. In May 1st is College Decision Day. This is the day that you have to put in your decision. So usually via a deposit to the school, let them know that you're going to attend. And then for Monarch High School, you just need to make sure we know which school you are attending in Naviance, so that we can send your final transcript to the right place. And then of course, after all this work, you get to graduate. So we also want to go over a few tools to help you get organized and prepared for the college application process. We don't want your process to be messy like this classroom or this bedroom. So one way to do that is to use Naviance, which I've mentioned a bunch of times already. Naviance is one of the apps or icons in your single server sign-in and ClassLink. It looks kind of like a compass. This is where you're going to house all of your college information so that we can best serve you and send all your information to colleges. So this is how you get to Naviance. Once you get to Naviance, I highly recommend the first thing you should do is update your account information. Make sure we have your email in there. Make sure you're getting all the counselor communications from us. So that's how we send all of our newsletters and updates. It comes through Naviance. So if you've received nothing from counseling this year, I think you should go into Naviance and make sure your email is up to date. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is the resume tool. in Naviance, there is a resume tool. So as I mentioned early on, colleges like to see how you spend your extracurricular time. And they'll ask you, how many months, years did you spend time playing soccer or doing volunteer work? So the resume offers you an opportunity to put all those dates and hours into an organized thing, and it'll help you fill out your applications in the future. And then the last thing on this page I was going to show you is surveys. So throughout your senior year, you may be asked to complete surveys. So sometimes we ask you to do a survey if you ask one of us for a letter of rec, so that we have some specific examples to write in your letter of rec. So you fill out a survey, tell us what you've done, what your accomplishments are, what you're proud of, so that we can add that into our letter of rec for you. But the first survey you're going to fill out is if you decide to sign up for a junior meeting with one of your counselors, there is a junior meeting survey that you fill out before your meeting with us. So all these things that I just mentioned are under the About Me tab, which is in the top right-hand corner of your Naviance page.
All right, hello juniors, I'm Mr. Holloway. I have last names F through K, if you don't know who I am. So I am going to continue on with what Miss Dana was just talking about. Obviously, as you can see on this map, there are hundreds of colleges that you can choose from, and this isn't even fully representative of everything. We just have a lot of the ones from the United States and some in North America on here. So as we move forward, just keeping in mind that there are plenty of options. So how do we narrow this down and organize our search, right? Your personality, you should match the school's personality. What does that mean? If you're looking for a small private school, you want small classroom sizes, stuff like that, you should go to a school that matches how you feel about that. If your personality is loud and boisterous and you want to go to something with huge football games and sporting events, maybe finding a school that fits your personality that way helps as well. So what matters most to you specifically is going to be really important. We have listed here some examples, like I mentioned, some class sizes. What programs does the school have? That's a big one. What do you want to do when you get done with college? What do you want to study? And making sure that the schools that you're going to have those programs, or have a way to at least get into your field of study. How much can you contribute? I always say to make sure that you have at least a backup plan of a school that you can afford to go to if you do not get any aid. And then obviously you can have other ones on there that we can see what the packages are, but make sure that you have something on there that you can still make it to even if you don't get any aid, because you just can't rely on that. Are you looking to study abroad? Have you looked into those programs at different schools? How easy it is to do? What countries do they go to? That kind of stuff. If you're looking for religious school, non-religious, all that kind of stuff, you need to make sure that you're thinking about all that when you're taking your choices. But it also helps you narrow a lot of things down. So how do we go about that? Well, there's two things on this page you'll see. So when you're on your Naviance, you can kind of see a screenshot here. There's the Supermatch College Search, and the Supermatch College Search is an awesome tool for starting to narrow that search down. You can put in the guidelines you're looking for, GPAs over 3.0 or whatever it is, in the Western region, school size of 30,000 plus, like all that kind of stuff. You can put it in there. When you do the Supermatch, it'll then start matching you to schools on percentages of the things you put in and what they have. The other part on here is you can click on the college visits. We have a few this semester. We'll have a ton in the fall semester of your senior year. And this is actually, you'll click on there. There'll be a whole list of what's coming up, and you can click and register for it, and then you'll receive a pass on the day that the representative is here, and to come to the counseling postgrad center and actually meet with that counselor. So that's a cool thing you can do as well. So one other really helpful tool is to use the scattergrams. So I believe the next page will show you what an example scattergram is, but this is how to get to it. When you click on the colleges tab at the top, you'll click on the college home button up here, and then you're going to go down to scattergrams. And so the scattergrams, every college that's on Naviance has its own scattergram. And what this is showing is this is the SAT scores and the GPAs for every student from Monarch High School specific that applied to, in this case, American University. All the green checks are students that got in. All the red X's are students who were denied. The little red dot up there was waitlisted. And then the blue dots are unknown. Usually it's students that are currently applying, and we don't know what their response is. So as you can see, makes sense. As you go up in GPA scale and up on the SAT score scale, the more likely you are to get into that school. You can do this for every school. You can do CU Boulder, you can go out to California, you can look at the New York schools, and you can kind of see like, where do you fit? What was your SAT score and your GPA, and what are the chances? Do you fall in to a region that's a lot of green checks or a lot of red X's, or are you kind of in a hit or miss and maybe a 50-50 chance? So this is a really helpful graph for kind of guiding, like, what are your chances of getting into a particular university? All right, and then, like I said, you can search individual schools. Once you're looking at individual schools, you can click on a virtual tour of the school up there. You can see the overview of the school. If you want to see that scattergram from here, you don't have to get out and search a new one. You can just click on the admissions at the top, and that'll also show you the scattergram. This is the College of Worcester. Shows you, the percentage of students that graduate in 4 years, the amount of money that you'd have to spend to go there, if it's private, if it's public, what the student-to-faculty ratio, all that information for most schools in the country is actually available right here, which is pretty cool. So how are you going to keep track of everyone you're applying to? When you find colleges that you're interested in, there you can click on it and say that you want to add it to the colleges I'm thinking about list. This person here has 6 colleges on here. You can see what's listed there. Once you decide to actually apply to a school, you'll have to move it over to the applying to list so that we can send your letters of recommendation and your transcripts and all of that information over to the schools. So what do you need to know about Naviance as a junior? Make sure that your email is up to date and the information is accurate in your profile so that we can get a hold of you if needed. And parents, if you would like your own access, contact the counseling office front desk. Ms. Shushariba is her name, and she can help get you access to that so you have your own access, or you can just use your students' login and see from their end as well.
Hey juniors, this is Mrs. Benish, and again, I work with students with the last names R-O through Z, and I'm charged with wrapping things up. So just a few more things I wanted to point out. I know you've already heard a ton of information this evening. As I'm on this slide, just if you want to read through what selective colleges look for. We get this question a lot from our students, what should, if you want to drop an elective, what should you take in its place? What if I, don't do as well in my AP class as I would in a standard level class, those types of things. So this is just a little quote that we like to show that gives you the answer. And again, this is when you're looking at more selective schools, because you're up against students who are all doing well in school, right? They're all taking the most challenging classes. So you just want to make sure that you're up at that level to be a competitive applicant. And aside from the application, and being a good applicant and showing that on your grades and on your transcript and in your application, you want to make sure that you're prepared for the rigor of that school. Once you get in, that's just the beginning. You have to do well while you're there and love it and not be overwhelmed and want to drop out. So that's what you want as a goal when you're choosing a school, and that's what the colleges are looking for when they are going through the applications as well. So hopefully that helps you understand it a little bit more. And just another clarifying piece here is this little grid that tells you, and we go over this with you, so it just talks about what they look at, what admissions reps look at as importance within your application. Okay, it's the whole picture and what they see as the most important pieces. Now, this is from 2018-19. They haven't updated it to show COVID, and it'll be really curious to see this updated with, with COVID that's gone on and the changes in college admissions. So I'm sure that this is tweaked a bit, but the moral of the story is do your best and show all of those pieces everywhere you can in your application so they know who you are. And again, this is just kind of what I just said. If we admit them, meaning you, what do we get? So this is an admissions rep sitting down looking at your applications, asking this question, right? So in your application, you want to answer this. You get someone who, was in sports. You get someone who worked all the time. You get someone who, whatever it is that you want to share and that you're comfortable sharing to let them get to know you, to help them answer this question. What do we get at our school that's going to, help our student body, help create success on our campus? Why students get stuck. I always talk to students when we're meeting about how this is the first real transition that you have in your life. I mean, parents, you remember, I remember being dropped off at school and just how almost out of body it felt, because you weren't in the securities of your own home anymore. And it was the first time that you had that independence and, having to walk to the dining hall every day and just all those things. And it can just really feel overwhelming. But you just have to give into the process and just know that you're making these decisions based on as much research as you've done and as you can do, but that there still are going to be unknowns. And you're not going to make the perfect decision because you don't know exactly what to expect. So you just have to go with your gut and, try to just go along with those feelings of overwhelming or, like I said, the unknowns and the things that you just can't control. This is more about that. Some students will get stuck because you kind of freeze, right? You're like, oh my God, I've never done this before. I don't know what the heck an application is supposed to look like. I don't know the first step to take. And that's what we're here for. That's why we want to do the junior meetings with you. That's why we'll have senior application night and days that you can meet with us. You shouldn't know the process. You've never gone through it before. And trust me, parents, it's different from when we went to school. I remember filling out a piece of paper and sending it off to a school, and you got in and you went. So the last bullet, no support or too much support, that could get a student stuck, because if there's no support, well, there isn't no support because you have the counselors here. So if you feel like there's no support, come and talk to your counselor. If there's too much support, parents, that's where this little comic strip here comes in, where you're doing everything for them. Or, I'll have parents email me asking for a transcript for college for their kid, or can my kid drop this class or that class? And, I like to respond to the student because it's their responsibility. And there comes a time when your parents, you need to kind of back off a little bit, and this transitioning roles is a really important reminder. One thing that a lot of people appreciate is when we suggest maybe Sunday evenings or Sunday afternoons, you sit down and you have a meeting to talk about the college application process and how it's going, so that the students don't feel nagged every day on the way home and you try to mention it. Oh, did you do this? Did you do that? That can help with that overwhelming feeling and help students get a little frozen. So just if the two of you agree to a time to sit, okay, let's review where we're at, and then that's it, unless the student brings up a question or, if something comes up during the week, but that you're going to have this time to sit and talk so that that stress doesn't creep up on you. The little video that we have on here is just a fun video from the Goldbergs and talking about kind of the students' role in the college application process. So go ahead and watch that on your own time. And then lastly, if you plan everything correctly, and you saw the first picture, it was a messy room, you had no clue, everything was everywhere, you're trying to do everything you can just to get through each day in high school. And if you've used all the tools that we've recommended, if you've talked to us, I promise this is how it's going to feel at the end. I have students come in all the time, you guys, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And it's something that the counselors work with students on every year. So a lot of times it's a quick something that we can answer that really alleviates a lot of stress that you're having personally, that maybe it's causing conflicts at home. But let us support the students, support you guys with the process so you can have a nice clean ending and get to the end result that you're hoping for. Okay? Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And please, 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 juniors, schedule a junior meeting with us. And remember to do the Navient survey prior to the meeting because it allows the counselors to go through those things and kind of know what you're looking for when we meet, so we can really get into your questions and help you navigate your way.